Well, hi. Didn't see you there. Welcome to the first speed paint and video I've ever posted. Thanks for being here. I'm going to try to talk for most of this video, just in case people don't want to listen to someone with a curious sense of vocal inflection, a 50-50 chance for using big words correctly. Describe the thing you can see on screen in excessive detail. That sentence barely made sense, but Google Docs isn't giving me a blue squiggle, so I'm going to keep it. That way, if this really sucks, it can only go up from here. So if you just want to watch the speed paint without my melodious voice detailing the design process and potential backstory for this character, go ahead and mute the video. I've also included those link chapter whatever things to jump to the part in speed paint with the lining, coloring, shading, and finished product in the description. So please enjoy. This video was inspired by other speed paints of mood board themed characters, such as those drawn by Honeybeast and Olive Cow. Olive Cow, I believe, was the first artist to start this current bout of inspired drawings on YouTube, so link to their channel in the description. Despite never having made a mood board before, what was I doing? Mood board before. Okay, I decided to make my own for this series as I didn't want to step on any legal toes. In fact, the mood board for this character was composed entirely of stock photos I found preloaded in Befunky, the collage maker I used to make my mood boards. Link also in the description. I wanted to go for a more anthropomorphic design for my characters in this series. If you watch the linked channels, you'll know what I mean. But I still wanted them to have fun designs, so I went for a fantasy approach. This has thus opened up a whole can of condensed milk for potential backstory, character traits, and a whole slew of fun things which I will never touch again upon the completion of this drawing. But anyways, let's get into the design choices. Very exciting. I will get 10 out of 10 on this video based on analytics and viewer percentages. Quick detour, I'm not sure how the rating thing goes, but if there's only one video, does that mean this will perform really well or really poorly? Will the rating drop if the next video gets 10 views as opposed to 2? What was I doing? The sketching process. So when designing the character, I had only a vague idea for colors, knowing I wanted some contrasting colors striping through there, so I had some belts, and the billowy fog inspired that one sleeve that's all loose and the draping transparent cloth. I also wanted to include those intricate blue details with white and gold, and of course I had to keep the clouds and stars, and now there's a bit of a conflict with ideas. The gold armor was giving me Royal Knight vibes, which I really liked, but all the flowy fabric and what I would decide was Stardust or something kinda clashed with that. I also didn't want to draw shoes, and so now there's the question of why the fuck are their shins protected, but they're also barefoot. Like, they could protect themselves from the knife-wielding tentacle box, and that is it. But of course I ain't no bitch, and I refused to compromise on either of these ideas, and decided to instead come up with some convoluted reasoning for why they are the way they are. Now we get into the backstory. Alright, time to decide every detail about this character. They'll not be getting another lick of the limelight, so it's all being decided right here, right now. They're a Leo. That's it, end of video, go home. No, actually, that's not chaotic enough, make him a Scorpio. No, but for real. I guess they'd be a Libra based on the color scheme for his clothes. And, if some of you other cursed folk listening out there are thinking of that dreaded, inevitable question, is that a Homestuck reference? I'm sad to tell you, yeah, but only a little. If you want, you can forget that this drawing was touched even slightly by Terezi Pyrope, and justify that the colors were inspired by the bridge panel on the mood board, which, sure, that's convincing enough. Anyways, zodiac sign aside, this character will be non-binary, just because they're awesome. I'd also reason that half the people that get into astrology end up being non-binary because they seek to be as genderless and obscure as the celestial bodies inhabiting the vast plane of space. Okay, that was 2 comments in a row that veered into being unnecessarily serious, so let's get back to the funnies. Their name will be Sand Lard Mason. Yes, Lard Mason. Sand Lard Mason. Yep, that's it. And just because I think it's the best title for a non-binary person, they will also be a doctor. Dr. Lard Mason. And yes, they did go to fantasy college for 20 years just so that they wouldn't have to be referred to as Mr. or Mrs. Also, if you happen to know any gender-neutral titles like Doctor, you should totally leave them in the comments. I'd love to read them. So, they have been graced by their god with a name. Time to hurt them with a tragic backstory. So, Dr. Lard Mason. I want to be able to explain away the being barefoot and having shin guards, so let's start with that. Dr. Lard Mason is the royal mage of a fantasy governing body, but before they took up that position, they were a wandering mage. Also a doctor still, but before that they were a mage. Before they were a mage, they were just an elf. Sand comes from a family of elves in what is likely a modern fantasy world who have maintained a long bloodline of healers. Sand was never particularly skilled in magical healing, but that's okay. They can just be put through years of medical schooling to learn magical healing the hard way. But Sand would often daydream during classes of the freedom of being under an endless sea of stars, swimming in the light of the world's many moons. So, after honing their skills in stardust-based spells and dimensional manipulation, Sand teleports right out of school and into the wilds. A potential conflict for this character could be them not actually having gotten their doctorate if this was an actual story. Dr. Lard Mason, as they will dub themselves, then becomes a wandering nomad, connecting more with the sky and ground than they ever have before. Bam, shoelessness explained. They made a living guiding those traveling through pitch-black forests and untamed deserts, which are often rife with unpredictable and dangerous creatures. The doctor jumped all over the world, never desiring to stay in one place for long. But eventually, they guided a quiet young man through a concrete jungle, with huge trees and living roots breaking apart the once sprawling cityscape. Due to the dense concrete and canopy blocking the sky, the two found themselves unprepared as a group of iron skeletons descended upon them. Their rusting bones creaked as they jabbed broken pipes and swung crowbars at Sand and their companion. A cloud of dust was not very effective against metal creatures, who could have guessed, and just as the doctor prepared themselves to teleport away, their companion drew a broadsword and countered the strikes. The man continued to defend the doctor, cutting down the skeletons with the screech of his gilded sword, until finally the remains were shards and dust on the forest floor. There was silence as the two stared into each other's eyes, before the man sneezed out the rust and calcium cloud and raised a hand to sign, "You good?" From that moment, the doctor desired to repay the man who had protected them, to which the man asked if they even knew who they were. As I'll remind you listeners, Sand has been a little wandering hermit crab for the past 10 years or so, and responded that they had no idea who the man was, and that it didn't matter. So Dr. Lard Mason became the official navigator and cartographer of the king of the second largest nation on the planet. Only second because someone called dibs on the ocean a while ago, and those borders have held ever since, somehow. The king has remained intentionally mysterious about his identity, and says that he just lives in this cool mansion he won in a YouTube giveaway, and the doctor was too confused to ask what that was, so they just accepted it as fact. I've run out of backstory for now, so let's just listen to some chill beats. Man, making scripts is hard. I should probably fucking spend less time on these drawings. I'll probably also be getting a better editing software, because this is only like one step up from a PowerPoint presentation, but I digress. I will leave you with more chill beats or whatever the hell I end up playing over this footage, and If people really like the stories I come up with for these characters, I'll make more integration of the previous characters interacting with each other and the world. Let me know if you'd listen to that sort of thing in the comments. It would be greatly appreciated. So there they are. It was a lot of fun, and although I don't have the best track record for sticking with a project once I've started it, I will try to get out at least a few more mood board inspired characters with this type of format. This was the first video I've ever edited and posted, so feedback would be super cool, unless it's needlessly critical, in which case you will be clapped into another dimension. Leave a like and subscribe and whatever else if you want to see more of my stuff, like once a month probably. No, it'll probably be like 20 videos in a week and then dead silence for a month. Fair trade-off. Thank you so much for watching, and I'll see you in the next video. Pyre out.